Tonight, on A Week in League, we'll be talking about the Esports winner, the playoffs recap, LCS format changes, 3 international tournaments, and so much more right after the intro. Welcome to A Week in League, where we cover League of Legends esports all around the globe from all 4 major regions. I'm your host Slomar, and let's just get right into the news. Obviously, we missed the first episode this season after saying we haven't missed an episode in the last video. Classic. My storage server died after I got the edit together, and there was absolutely no way I was going to be able to fix it and get the video out on the same day. If you haven't seen our last video, we put out a behind the scenes video detailing how we get these episodes done weekly. So make sure you go watch it after this video. And as usual, timestamps and links will be in the description. And while you're down there, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thanks. Before we get into the LPL, I want to have a moment of silence for OMG. OMG has shown a ton of hope on this playoff run, and it's so sad that they got beat out by BLG in Game 5. Man, what a run. JDG dominated the upper bracket and secured a spot in the finals after beating EDG 3-0. All of this was happening in the upper bracket, while the lower bracket is arguably where the real spice was at. OMG loses to EDG at the start of their second life in the lower bracket, going up against BLG afterwards. I know this series happened 2 weeks ago, but it doesn't matter. It's time for Game of the Week. 5 games of absolute bloodbaths, and if you haven't seen this game, go watch the highlights and do yourself a favor. With OMG's run coming to an end, BLG was looking good heading up into the EDG matchup for the semifinals. This series also went all the way to 5 games, with impressive performances on both sides. But with BLG's win in Game 1 on red side, they managed to secure the series. That meant that they got to advance to the finals against JDG. And the 5-game series trend is not over, ladies and gentlemen. We get 5 games in the finals. I know I said the game of the week was BLG versus OMG, but the finals was definitely a close seconds. If I could have 2 games of the week, I would. And after winning the finals, JDG are now the LPL Spring 2023 champions. Gen G's AD carry ruler has won the finals MVP award. The LPL playoffs have been full of surprises. BLG and OMG, the number 5 and 6 seeds respectively, made a really deep and exciting run, while LNG and WBG underdelivered just a little bit. With the LPL playoffs wrapped up, we now have the 2 LPL representatives heading into MSI, and that is JDG and BLG. Personally, I'm excited to see what both LPL representatives can do at MSI. The LPL might be taking a 2-week break until the start of MSI, but our coverage won't stop. Make sure you come back for next week, our MSI prep episode. After Gen G lost to T1 in the upper bracket, they had to go up against KT in the semifinals. The winner of that series would go up in the finals against T1. Gen G went into high gear after their loss to T1 and won their series against KT in a quick 3-1 fashion. And with the series win over KT, they now qualify for a spot in the finals against T1. Gen G arguably upset T1 in the finals, ending their series win streak and securing the LCK championship. And you know what time it is? Time for Game of the Week. And this week, it's the T1 versus Gen G finals. Gen G really just did it, you know? They went in there and they won the series. We may not have 5 games, but it is definitely worth a watch. Anyways, now that we got the LCK playoffs out of the way, the rest of the LCK awards have been announced. The finals MVP is none other than Gen G's AD carry, Pays. And the regular season MVP is T1's support player, Keria. Keria also managed to get the Player of the Split award. Anyways, with the playoffs wrapped up, we also have the 2 MSI reps from the LCK, and those teams are T1 and Gen G. I'm excited to see what the LCK teams can do on the international stage, especially against the LPL representatives. The LCK goes on break until MSI, but our coverage won't. Make sure you tune in next week for our continued MSI coverage. The LEC groups took place these last 2 weeks, and overall, I think there were no upsets. Let's see. Fnatic, Koi, and SK lost 2 best-of-3s and got out, while Vitality, Mad, BDS, and G2 managed to qualify for playoffs. The rest of the teams are out until summer. I think the biggest thing we need to talk about in the LEC is not really the group stage, but the first game of the playoff series. That game took place yesterday, and it was the BDS versus Vitality series. The best of 5 went 3-0 to BDS's favor. BDS have been having an impressive split so far, and with this last win over Vitality, they have now secured a spot in the finals. The question is though, with Vitality dropping down, is Vitality gonna choke again? I don't know what Vitality is gonna do this time, but I do know that it's time for Game of the Week. And this week, it's the BDS versus Vitality games. The BDS Dragon Control is unmatched, and watching Vitality lose is kind of fun, so go watch it. Anyways, the LEC playoffs continue next weekend with 3 series left on the table. So make sure you tune in next week for our continued LEC coverage. The finals weekend in Rally may have happened last week, but we're gonna recap it now anyways. FlyQuest lost to Golden Guardians in the semifinals 2-3 in a nail-biter of a series. The crowd was absolutely wild, and I was watching at home. And while we're talking about this game, time for Game of the Week! And this week, it's Golden Guardians versus FlyQuest. Golden Guardians really holds their ground against FlyQuest and snags a spot in the finals after a massive comeback. The series is 100% worth a watch, so make sure you go watch it. The finals, however, was a little different. With C9 going up against Golden Guardians, the first 2 games looked really close, with Golden Guardians even managing to take off 1 game off Cloud9. However, Cloud9 win 2 clean quick games after that and become the LCS 2023 Spring Split champions. With the Cloud9 win, Fudge has secured the Player of the Series award. And with the LCS split concluding, we have our 2 MSI reps from the LCS. And that's Golden Guardians and Cloud9. The LCS goes on a short break next week before MSI, but make sure you come back next week for our MSI preview. Welcome to In Other News, a segment where we discuss news that may or may not be related to LOL Esports. We missed last week's episode, and this means I'll cover more topics from the last 2 weeks, so bear with me. This week's headline is: rumors of the LCS and other leagues changing their format in 2024 are circling around. The rumors indicate that there may be 3 splits and 3 international tournaments heading into 2024. This would be very akin to the LEC 3-split system that we currently have. In my opinion, this is a great change, and anything that allows for more international competition is welcome in my book. In other news that are kind of related, there are also rumors that the LCS will be looking to change the import rules to allow 3 imports rather than 2. With most teams running majority imports anyways, I don't think this is going to affect much. On the next one, we're going to combine 2 stories into one. The first one is the LCS viewership tumbles for 6th consecutive split. If you haven't seen the blame game on this, Mark Z did an exceptional job explaining why this data may be a little questionable. As usual, the link for that video will be in the description. The second story is the LCS playoff viewership is lower than the CBLOL playoff viewership. There's not much else to add on here, honestly. The CBLOL has been booming in popularity and the LCS isn't. The CBLOL casters are super hype, even though I have no idea what they're saying. In other news, Rich reported to replace Armut after Dignitas' disastrous LCS split. Keep in mind that this is still a rumor, but we'll confirm it as soon as possible. In other news, the LCK is reportedly set to introduce salary cap in League of Legends amid financial troubles. I know the topic of salary caps is something that not many people talk about, and it's for a good reason. It's a very complex topic, and things will often change depending on the country the league operates in and the labor laws. I'm not really familiar with Korean labor laws, so I could be way off here, but in general, I think that salary caps are okay. Even though I understand they can't really be enforced and a lot of sponsorship deals can come on the back end or whatever to offset the salary cap. We'll have to see how this plays out though. In other news, before the LCS finals weekend, FlyQuest decided to promote Winsome to the LCS roster in a last-minute substitution. This was a little surprising, especially after the fans have been calling for the Winsome swap since the team has had a slump at the end of the season. LS revealed in one of his shows that the decision was made 72 hours before the roster lock, so who knows what was going on at FlyQuest. In other news, and I know I'm late to this party, but LOL Esports legend Bjergsen retires. This came at a surprise to many fans and industry figures, including his own organization, 100 Thieves. Nate Shot has come out on his podcast and said that he was given hours notice before the video came out. If you ask me, it's always bittersweet, especially when an industry veteran or someone of Bjergsen's caliber leaves the scene. In other news, Team Liquid parts ways with head coach MaRin after a single disastrous LCS split. I don't know if there's much for us to add here, but I'm interested to see what TL can bring to the table next split. We talked about CLG selling their LCS slot. Well, NRG is the one who bought it. NRG's CEO Andy Miller has confirmed the acquisition of CLG and their entire League of Legends infrastructure, including LCS players, coaching, and a challengers team. For now, they will continue to operate as CLG, but a rebrand is imminent in the future. Again, another bittersweet moment with an organization like CLG leaving the scene. In other news, Immortals welcomes new support player Treatz. This is pending Riot approval according to Twitter, and I guess they just wanted to beat all the rumors, huh? In other news, Riot CEO says Arcane Season 2 is coming, but not in 2023. This comes at a surprise because there were rumors last year that Arcane Season 2 would come out in 2023. Hopefully, Season 2 isn't another 20 years in the making. In other news, we've talked about the lead developer on the Riot MMO leaving a while back. Well, now he's announcing his own game studio. No idea what this means for League's MMO or its future, but again, I hope this doesn't take 20 years in the making. I want it now. It's time for quick eBits. Whew, there's a lot. Sentinels shut down LCS expansion rumors amid TSM and CLG struggles. Tricked Esports officially announces closure after investor pulls out. Esports organization version 1 seeking a merger. And those are all the ones that have to do with esports winner. Dallas Cowboy Game Time is launched by the Cowboys and Game Square. Red Bull to open its largest esports venue in Denmark. PlayStation launches a dedicated esports YouTube channel. Esports startup Virtex teams up with Skybox to create a new CSGO viewing experience. FURIA and PokerStars announce multi-year partnership renewal. Team BDS partners with Doctors Without Borders. Complexity and the US Army join forces for the 5th consecutive year. Riot Games to organize LEC viewing parties across the EMEA. Team Vitality strikes a 2-year partnership with Cherry XTRFY. Team Vitality launches Bomber Jacket line with Bomber's Original. And our last story for the night is not really LOL Esports related, but it's esports related. Activision Blizzard settles esports salary cap lawsuit. We talked about the salary cap rumors earlier this episode, and this lawsuit would have helped in setting some precedent for salary caps in esports. But unfortunately, it was settled outside of court, so yeah. We'll have to wait and see if salary caps will make it into esports anytime soon. And that's the end of our show for this week. The behind the scenes video is up on our channel right now. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's everything we do behind the scenes to get these episodes out weekly. Thank you so much for all the continued support. If you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing. Have a good night and good luck in solo queue.